motherfucker down! All right, y'all.
The answer to lawlessness is, from Republicans' perspective, we should be clear on this too. It's not putting back up these monuments that the Democrats put up in the first place and the Republicans didn't want. It's to arrest the people that destroyed public property, to prosecute them to the full extent of the law and hold the governor accountable for allowing a violent mob to take over the Capitol. I mean, are we gonna have the real conversation now that people just destroyed public property and are getting away with it? This is what we see again and again. You can come in, the mob can come in and rule, and there's no consequence. The mob obviously knows when they show up that the police are going to pull back and they're going to be able to do whatever they want to do. And we've got to restore law and order. We've seen this now too many times just in the last month alone. And we got to get law and order.
This is happening all over the country, as you know, and there's a reason for it. Over the weekend, most recently, doubtless you've heard of this, city officials announced their plan to remove the statue of Teddy Roosevelt from outside New York's Museum of Natural History. The bronze statue has stood there in the Theodore Roosevelt Rotunda facing Central Park since before the Second World War. Soon it will be gone. People who erected that statue 80 years ago would be confused by this, no doubt. They did not consider Teddy Roosevelt a controversial figure. In fact, Roosevelt was the most popular president in American history. He was also the most American president. No other country could have produced Teddy Roosevelt. Roosevelt's virtues mirrored the values of America. He was physically brave, he was profoundly literate, highly self-disciplined, and amazingly energetic. While still a college student, Roosevelt wrote a 2-volume history of the War of 1812 that is still in print today. You can buy it on Amazon. He was the youngest president in our history. He saved our economy from corporate monopolies. And by doing that, he made the American middle class possible. He created the national parks, he created the Panama Canal, the Food and Drug Administration. And then he kept going. The list of Teddy Roosevelt's achievements fills entire shelves of biographies. Those are in addition to the more than 40 books he wrote himself on topics ranging from Oliver Cromwell to cattle ranching to social justice. Personally, Roosevelt was a famously decent man. In 1901, he invited his friend Booker T. Washington to dinner. No African American had ever eaten in the White House. Democrats roared with rage at the idea. For the crime of having a meal with a black man, they attacked Teddy Roosevelt and his wife for the rest of their lives. But Roosevelt never bowed. He gave the finger to the mob, and he continued cheerfully on. Teddy Roosevelt was a hero to millions of Americans. He still is. That's precisely why they're tearing down his statue. They know that if they can force you to watch as they topple your heroes, they have won. There is nothing they can't do next. They can decide how you raise your children, how you vote, what you're allowed to believe. Once they've humiliated you, they can control you. And that's why, across the country, mobs are tearing down America's monuments. In the cities of Richmond and St. Paul, Minnesota, they've torn down statues of Christopher Columbus. They did the same thing in Boston. Boston's mayor now says it's time to remove a statue of Abraham Lincoln, the man who freed the slaves. It's racist.